latest episode of KapVista Klips. Today we are here with Petko from CHEFIN. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm great. So we've known each other for a while now. I've seen your business grow from a small little baby to now what it is today, and there's been a lot of things happening, and you've achieved a lot. But we really want to get into the power of what you do, and because it's global now. It's very much global. But tell us about you. Well, let's go back to the start. What got you to this point? Tell me your background.
I think we actually met during a wholesale investor conference in 2018 when we secured our first lead investor. So it's something that we've been doing for a while, actually promoting the business and showcasing what we do. Like, what we found is that it's really important to actually show people what we do, what is the product, what is the physical thing they can experience, and how we actually are different from catering companies and restaurants, right? And that's what we found works the best. We do some corporate partnerships with the British Chamber, for example, and the American Chamber, and we've done the reciprocal work in the US, where we actually showcase to clients and to corporates what we do and how we're different and how we can make the event special with a chef being on site. And that works really, really well for us. I think it's one of the things that really excited us back in the days, and it's one of the reasons why we actually started the business, because we when we first started, like, to sort of trace back, right? We actually started hosting a lot of like house parties in Bondi and inviting a lot of people, like sometimes like 20, 30, 40 people, cooking like big cook-offs for them, and sort of realized that actually when you cook for people, you don't have enough time to enjoy the entertainment with them. And it's beautiful, right? Like, I love food, I love cooking, but I didn't have the time to actually talk with people and spend quality time with my friends. And we've noticed the same problem across people doing family dinners, in particular like Christmas parties, entertaining at home, or sometimes when you start having like bigger families with 3 or 4 kids. We have a client that's got like 2 teenagers and 2 girls, for example, and runs a construction business. They don't have time to cook every day. They love pizzas, they love barbecues, but they just want someone to go in every day, cook for them, prepare the meals, lunch boxes, and everything else, and sort of be hassle-free, basically. So we really found that one of the really big differences for us is that our clients love cooking and they love food. They're not looking for fast food and they're not looking for convenient meals. They're actually looking for quality things, for quality produce, for experiences you can't get anywhere else. So we are quite differentiated from that perspective. When we first started, we didn't actually even realize that. We were really exploring the market. We spent a few years until I sort of met you, right? In 2018, we spent a few years actually exploring and testing the market and seeing what's going to work and what's not going to work, and learning from customers. I've got quite a bit of like market research and data background. So for me, it's really about understanding the customers, talking to customers, and sort of following the money. I really love this phrase, like follow the money, just go where people are prepared to spend money for. So if they're not prepared to pay for a service, then there's no point to develop something around it. And then
you mentioned experiences. Now, I still talk to people about. So one of the events that you were on site and we met. I think there was crocodile jerky and emu jerky. I still talk to people about that. That was incredible. It was incredible. It was an experience, and for us, why we had it is we were showcasing Australian, foods and experience to international delegates, and they got to experience that, and it was absolutely incredible. So yes, you provide an experience, and it changed the event. It was absolutely incredible. So yes, you talk about experiences. I still have those memories.
Yeah, I have so many different stories of things like that, or experiences that we've actually custom created for clients. We did one for a healthcare company. That was like so cool. We hired the oldest house in Brisbane called Newstead House. It's a new farm in Brizzy. and we did an experience for international buyers of healthcare products from Australia that produced local healthcare products. And we went through the range of the products they were actually promoting. And the chefs pulled out each of the key ingredients from the products and created a dish with them. So we had things like based on wattle seed, we had things based on pepper berries, we had teams like based on things based on like lemon myrtle. We had like salmon wrapped up in lemon myrtle leaves, and then we had like a wattle seed infused like pork belly. We had lobster with like kunzea, like all sorts of different natural Australian herbs that are being exported as medicine. And we've created the dishes. So people would sit down and they'll be like, wow, this is tasting the same. It's related. How did you guys even come up with this concept?
Yeah,
We have
that's
to like
cool.
sort of research it and just create this experience for them. It was amazing. And we had another client. It's actually one of our shareholders and sort of early stage advisors, Paul. He used to be a global CEO for Capgemini, and we created an experience for his 60th birthday where he was celebrating with his closest friends and with his wife. They were actually celebrating their life through as a journey, right? Like every country they visited and the experience they've sort of learned and gained there. And the food, we brought the food from each of these like 6 7 different countries on the table in a degustation menu with 2 dishes that actually describe what they did and how
Wow.
they lived in that country. And it was just an amazing story for them to talk with their friends and for us to create. Like it was super exciting.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. Okay, so tell us about CHEFIN. What from a from a customs point of view or a client's point of view, what is it?
From a client's point of view, we are a booking platform for chefs. It's very simple. You go on the website, you choose a dining experience. You say, I want to host a romantic dinner or a Christmas party. You select like your options, like shared plates, or you want to have a 5 course or 12 course degustation. You make the booking, and then the platform actually acts as an Uber style marketplace. So we assign the first available chef within your area that matches your requirements. Then the chef looks through the brief, accepts it or declines it. And then you as the customer look through the chef's profile and accept it or decline it. Like around 95, 98% of the time at the moment, the customers actually accept. And it's the same for the chefs because we have really good matching. In the beginning, it was like a bit of a 50-50. We had to do a lot of adjustments and sort of alternations on the algorithm, which was very manual to start with. And it's like quite automated and very mature at the moment based on a lot of data points. Some of them are very interesting, like cleanliness. We actually collect talkativeness and cleanliness points from both the
Yeah.
customer and the chef. So we match them based on personality more than just the food, because the two things are really important. When we onboard chefs, we actually onboard them through a process called chef audition. So when they go through the chef audition, we check their performance as performers rather than just as chefs, because it's important to actually be able to hold the experience, to sort of nurture that experience and to talk to people, introduce the dishes and go through the whole thing throughout the night, plus clean up and leaving everything beautiful and amazing. And we get like often customers saying that their kitchen was left cleaner than it was before the chef came through, right?
Yeah.
Which is amazing. You want them to wake up in the morning, feel good, and then have an amazing clean home.
Yeah.
And at the same time have spent amazing time with their friends the night before.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you've built this platform. You've got the back end. You connect the customer to the chef. You provide an experience. Tell us about the milestones, because as mentioned, we've known each other for a while now, and it has evolved. And you are not just you are global. This is a global business. So walk me through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started in Sydney, right? We spent a lot of time, maybe until sort of around 2018, 19, actually, that we were really focusing on the Sydney market because we wanted to understand our consumers very deeply and
Mhm.
build something. Our platform actually launched end of 2019, I think end of September or beginning of October. We were actually fully ready with the two-sided marketplace. We built the software, the matching algorithm. Before that, we were operating on Excel sheets. We didn't even have CRM. We just added our CRM in sort of beginning of 2019 or end of 2018. We sort of really transitioned to a full-fledged platform by that time. And part of it was raising capital, right? We raised money. We raised 2 rounds, 2 small rounds. I put a bit of like investment myself in the beginning to kickstart the whole thing. And we got a bunch of government grants. So when we did that and we launched the platform in 2019, it started running really well, and we were like, okay, this is amazing. We're going to launch everywhere around Australia. COVID happened and even sort of pushed us faster to do that because Sydney was closed and locked down. So we had to actually find other revenue and other customers. And that really pushed us to go into Perth, to go into Canberra, to go into Adelaide and into Tasmania. Like Canberra was an amazing market actually because it wasn't locked. It's sort of part of, it's secluded within New South Wales, but it had different rules. We could operate in Canberra, we could operate in Brisbane. Melbourne was probably the worst because we first launched in Melbourne, but then the lockdown rules there were terrible. But we really grew the private side of the business. When we first started, like, as you know, we were pushing corporates, and we actually had a lot of corporate business coming through because it's easier to sell to corporates. It's something that I have as an experience, like 15 years of corporate sales experience. And account management. So we sold to a lot of corporates. We got awareness there, and we built up the brand and the credibility of what we do. Because being able to go around and say, hey, we work with KPMG and Tesla, and here's the pictures of our chefs next to Tesla cars and in the Microsoft offices and the Google offices, right? It adds credibility and people trust us. And that's really, really important to add credibility. It's another lesson we actually learned when we sort of expanded to the US. So after we did 2020 across Australia, 2021, we sort of grew the market and we felt really comfy across Australia. Then we started thinking, what else can we do? Where's the next market? We started researching and looking at where high net worth individuals live, where our audience is sort of replicated in larger amounts. And we found out the US is obviously the best market. Around 50% of high net worth individuals around the world live in the US. So we focused on the US. We looked at different cities. We did a few analyses. Dallas and Texas, like Austin, Houston, Dallas, they were probably our first go-to markets. And we were like, we're going to do these markets. We're going to do Texas. It looks a lot like Perth and WA. It's got very similar personality from a people perspective, very similar access to money, large homes and spread around, and love for good food and good quality ingredients. Then we sort of started entering the markets in the US, in Dallas in particular, and Texas as a state. Subsequently, we had interest in Los Angeles and San Francisco and New York. And actually, we ended up launching officially with Australian government and Austrade in New York. So we did a launch there promoting, again, Australian produce. So we had like international delegation going in, and then one of our local chefs in New York took all of these ingredients, Australian ingredients like lamb and beef, showcased them to corporates and international delegates and investors in New York. And that was a really nice credibility piece for us. Then the next thing we worked out is we wanted some reviews and a bit of traction so we can actually start converting customers straight away. So we bought a small business in LA, in Los Angeles, because it's a very funky area, very high profile customer base as well. And that gave us like the instant credibility of local reviews, local chefs, local corporate client contracts. We acquired like 2 large contracts across the US with ongoing business. And then we started slowly growing, promoting to consumers and doing a couple of little things here and there to actually grow our corporate market side in the US. Sort of around 2023 was when we actually fully officially launched. And then we started getting traction in Hong Kong from some of our corporate clients in US and Australia that promoted our business in Hong Kong. Then we launched and established in Hong Kong. So now we operate and run a business in Hong Kong as well, which is amazing. And then in 2024, we were like, what are we going to do next? What are the next markets? We want to do Europe, but we've never done multilingual. We want to do Canada, but we need French. So let's do Brazil. It's totally out of the blue, different market. Everyone is sort of underrating it. Very cheap resources. We can actually hire staff there, and we can sort of cover the same time zone as the US. And one of our business partners has got ties and lives in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. So we were like, okay, let's do it. We translate the website. We launched in Sao Paulo, and the reception has been amazing. There's barely any competition. Everyone avoids the Brazilian market because it's a closed economy. It's a closed banking system. It was quite painful to enter, but really good lessons of how to work in a developing country and how to actually attract the top tier clients there. Again, from a credibility perspective, we have this Australian and American entity and perspective, which really adds credibility for us. We managed to do a few activations with TV celebrities and local influencers as well, which added credibility for us. And a lot of Instagram marketing. Like, it's very interesting. Brazilians are obsessed with social media, Instagram and WhatsApp. Like, we've even found doctors taking booking appointments from patients
Wow.
on Instagram. So we just contact and talk with people on Instagram. We take their bookings and we manage things through there. Very different. In the US is LinkedIn. In Australia is like basically Google, pretty much,
Yeah.
like barely any social media. Here, you wouldn't really find high net worth individuals using Facebook that much.
No, but yeah, that's really interesting. So you've learnt a lot along the way. You understand what entering a new market takes. Now, using Brazilian as an example, that different language barrier, the way that they interact. You know, like you said, social media, everything's on Facebook or Instagram. Understanding that, it now helps you propel into other countries. So talk about the revenue milestones, because you are a very much an international business. You've grown, you've got a lot of success, you've got obviously having really good customer reviews that's helping you expand into new markets. Like you said, Hong Kong, your existing customers are getting into Hong Kong and now Brazil. So talk about the momentum.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. So we have, like, when we launch in a new market, something that's sort of important to consider is that we actually end up building a cluster of new chefs. So we'll go in a new market, we invest maybe six to 8 weeks, where we actually recruit a new loyal cluster of chefs. We aim for around 60 to start the market, and then 10 of them would end up being like very loyal, that we go through the years and sort of build up the community. Then we start getting a lot of referrals from the chefs, and the network actually starts exponentially growing on its own. That's the marketplace effects, basically.
Yeah.
So it's our minimum viable number. And then around that, what happens is that we actually start attracting customers based on the content and the chef profiles we have. So at the moment, we have around over 150 chefs, I think, in Brazil, mostly in Sao Paulo, but we are starting to expand across other cities as well. In the US, we have probably around 400 or so chefs, 600 in Australia, maybe around 20 or so in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a little bit small. And we are starting to recruit chefs in Europe at the moment, because we are planning our next launch in France. And we've been working quite a bit to actually translate the website and sort of adjust the tech and be ready to launch into the European Union with GST, or they call it VAT, and the sort of combined scheme of VAT exchange between the countries in Europe, which is quite complicated. But that's something we've been working on the background, basically, for Europe. From a revenue perspective, at the moment, the US is growing significantly higher than any other markets. So I think we had around 700% growth in the US from last financial year to this financial year. In Australia, we've had a little bit smaller, more modest growth, around 10 to 15%. We are at the moment running around 1.6 mil ARR. Sort of revenue across the US and Australia and Hong Kong and Brazil. Brazil has very small amounts of revenue at the moment, in particular because of the conversion from Brazilian reais to Australian dollars. But we use Brazil mainly as a hub to actually test new concepts and recruit staff,
Yeah.
so we can service the US on a lower cost basis. And international markets, actually, we've started finding staff that can speak Spanish and speak French in Brazil as well. So we may be able to actually handle quite a few different markets from that one particular area that is basically quite good for us. From an overall GMV so far, since inception, we've sold over 6 million
Wow.
in deals, and that results in 120,000, I think, different diners that we've actually served, different customers, which has
Wow.
been amazing.
Yeah, wow. Okay. So tell us about the raise. How much you're raising, what's the use of funds for, and what's the momentum you have around that raise? What's the traction?
Yeah, absolutely. So something that I'm really proud of is we have a very strong marketing engine. We've been working on this for quite a while. To be honest, when we first started acquiring customers, it costed us like $700 to actually acquire a customer. And we've managed to actually nail that down to around $250. So the moment it costs us around $250 to acquire a new customer, and that gives us on average 2,450 average order value. So we have a 10x in like an investment, return on
Yeah.
investment, basically,
Wow.
on every dollar we put into marketing and business development, if you want to call it, or just sales purely,
Yeah.
basically. So that's really cool. I mean, it's more marketing, to be honest, because we don't actually hard sell. We market and we create we have an inbound funnel where we market and generate people in the top of the funnel, and then they go through the bottom of the funnel and convert into sales. So we spend $250 on top, and we get $2,500 on the bottom, which is amazing. We're raising around 3 mil Australian dollars at the moment, and we want to use 36% for growth capital, so we can actually grow the revenues and triple the existing revenue at the least, basically. Then 20% would be to finish the tech we're building for Europe, and then to adjust and prepare the tech to enter other Asian markets. We have quite a bit of interest at the moment in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and also in Manila and Jakarta, so Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, and Singapore. So we need to do a couple of other adjustments on the tech to be able to cover these markets and these languages, in particular Arabic, and the way things sort of operate in that area, and Chinese as well, and Japanese in the future. So we have a couple of things to do on that from a multilingual perspective and coverage in these areas. And then the rest we want to keep into cash reserves. And we're also going to spend around, I think 17% was in corporate sales hires. So we can develop the corporate markets and acquire maybe some corporate contracts as well through either business acquisition or new sales hires.
Yeah, amazing. The Middle East is a massive market. In terms of the UAE, there is a massive push to become the tech hub of the world, right? They want Dubai to be a tech city. Dubai, the UAE, Saudi Arabia made a lot of money over the past few decades in oil and gas, and they are diversifying. They're making investments outside of oil and gas, and they're pushing to make Dubai a very much a global city in terms of bringing tech and companies there. So it is a place of business. So for the corporate angle, it is a perfect fit, but also there are a lot of high net worths in Dubai. So I think your product is well suited for that market. And you can see exponential growth there. It's a very exciting market to be in. So having that focus into the UAE and into the Middle East is brilliant. Okay, great. So you're raising $3 million. You've got a solid, track record and good growth, especially in the US. You've worked out to an art how to spend $250 and 10x that for every customer. So the money is not the money you're raising is not to trial and error. It is actually to accelerate. So investors looking at this, you can put $1 in, and Petko can tell you how he's going to turn it into 3 quite easily. So this is an established company. It's a growth. It's a growth investment. It's not a startup by any means at the moment. So I think it's a very, very solid investment, and I'm excited about this. I've known this company and Petko for quite a while. I've seen them grow. So, I'm quite confident in this one. It's proven. It's now just putting fuel on the fire.
Yeah, and it's more like $1 into 10 though, by the way. It's a 10x. Not 3.
yeah. But so this is exciting. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. This has been great. Anybody who's interested in finding out more about CHEFIN, please reach out to my team, and we can connect you through to Petko to have a quality conversation, because he can talk about the experiences, and maybe you want to try it out yourself. Bring a CHEFIN.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to host some Q&A sessions as well, so we can do some questions and answers later on. I think these are pretty cool.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much for jumping on. This has been great.
Thanks, Daniel. See you guys.
Bye.